Hello everybody. Okay, I'm not gonna show my face because I'm rather hungover today from a night on the town. But basically I just kind of wanted to do a little video really, and it was concerning traditional witchcraft altars and what things maybe, if somebody's thinking of constructing a traditional witchcraft altar, what is the thing that should be on there? And the answer to that is it really does depend what tradition you're from. Um, there are different branches of traditional witchcraft. So, for instance, if you come from the 1734 Clan of Tubal Cain tradition, your altar is going to be different from somebody who practices the Cornish Pellar tradition. And it will go on. There will be different traditions. Me myself, I just say I'm a traditional witch. I don't follow a particular branch of traditional witchcraft. I have my own, I have what I perceive to be as my own branch of traditional witchcraft. And that's absolutely fine, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that do that and a lot of people that get up to that, and that's absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with that. But as I said, it depends what tradition you're from. Various traditions will have various different will have various different ways of setting up altars. The main thing I would say is, it sounds really cheesy and forgive me, but there is no real way to set up a traditional witchcraft altar. There is no true way to do it. There's no true way to do it, and this is the truth. This is the absolute utmost truth of it. You go by what the spirits tell you to go by, and you do what feels right to you. You are a witch. You follow your gut and you go by your instincts, and that's what we've got. That is, a key element in our craft is our gut. You go by your gut. For me, as you can see, I have the stang in the middle of my altar, and for me that represents Axis Mundi or Yggdrasil, which is the world tree. I also have the witch's foot on the top, which is basically a symbolism of the upper world, underworld, and the middle earth. And it's a good representation for me because I work with the underworld a lot. I have that a lot. Of course, I have my sheep's skull with various astrological influences over it. If I want to call up Old Horny in various influences, if I want to call him up in a sort of Saturn influence, I have symbols of Saturn on there, and I will utilize that. So that skull for me, the different symbols that I have, it's different aspects of Old Horny. I also have a cauldron with a light in it to represent the womb of the grand mother witch goddess. And the reason I have it behind the skull is it represents an old craft saying, the truth lies betwixt the horns. Now I know I don't have horns on this skull, but if you look up, the forked staff, the stang, is what it represents. It represents the horns of the master. It represents the horns of Baka, the horns of the grand witch master, and that's what I use that for. I use that to represent his wisdom and his power that lies between the horns. That's why I have it set up this way. Obviously, yeah, I have the cauldron, which I use a lot of my charms and a lot of spells I use, I put offerings at the foot of the stang. So it's obviously the stang represents in which the spirits and the gods can travel through to, and that's what I do. I put offerings by the foot of that. If it's for the ancestors, if it's for the hidden folk, if it's for the genus loci, spirits of the place and spirits of the land. Familiar spirits a little bit differently, but again, I have my familiar spirit here, which sort of made this part the other day. I have my cord around it because at the moment I've got a particular favour to ask. Yeah, I'm not going to go too much in depth with that, but yes. I also have here a sorry, where there. I also have here a skull with various candles set about it. I have it set about, I actually got this technique from Peter Paddon, a grimoire for modern cunning folk, and it's his way in which he calls down the ancestors, and I find that really effective and that really works for me. I have my chalice, and I also have my affirmate as well, which is really, really pretty. And there's my chalice. Yeah, so I mean, I've set this up. It changes constantly. I'll be honest, it does change a lot. It changes, and it depends what I'm doing. It depends what spirits and what gods I'm working with. This altar will constantly change. Sometimes it will be raised with my cabinet on it. Sometimes it will be a lot more flat. And you know, as I said, I go by what the spirits tell me and what work I do. You know, if I'm doing work of a Venus influence, I will know that I need to have it arranged a certain way. I also work with the cardinals quite a lot, north, east, south and west. So if I'm working with the spirits of the north, I will, you know, I will sort of set various things on the altar that represents the spirits of the north, and so goes by east, south and west. You know, if I'm doing work with the divine witch mother or the, you know, I'll set it a certain way. So it depends. It really does depend. And it depends on the work that I'm doing. But each time I try my best to listen to the spirits. This altar setup just kind of happened. It's, you know, it's kind of completely happened, and I'm just going to go. I'm going to go with it. But in regards to this, you know, I mean, I can say things you will most likely find on a traditional, which is all will be a skull. And there will be a skull, something representing a human skull, or quite possibly a human skull. And that's to represent the ancestors, the dead, you know, the ancestors in which we work with, the ancestors of the land, the ancestors of us, of our family, and ancestors can even be friends as well. You'll also find various jars, bottles, pots, and that's to represent spirit houses. Sometimes, a lot more traditionally, are jugs, in which the witch used to feed the familiar spirits, sacrificial offerings of blood. You also find cords as well, chalices and affirmates, classical sort of pagan instruments, cauldrons, and also to represent the witch god, a sort of a horned skull or an animal skull, really. And most likely it's a stag, a goat, a deer, and I mean a sheep's skull. I mean, I'm an urban witch, so I live in the city, so I went to an Afro-Caribbean shop and purchased a sheep's head, and it was a very disgusting, icky job getting away all the stuff, and I did not eat for like 2 days. It was rank. But yeah, you know, I make do out of what I've got, and obviously you'll see a stang on a traditional witch's altar, a broom, a blasting rod, you know, implements of divination, so I might occasionally have my runes on here, sigils, various dried herbs, you know, it goes on, but things you'll find mostly, you know, piles of bones. This is an owl's skull that I have. You know, various piles of bones. I've got human bones on there. I've got a lot of things, you know, mandrake roots, poisonous roots and poisonous plants, although, disclaimer, you know, be careful. And yeah, just be careful of what you're doing with poisonous plants and roots because, you know, they're pretty dangerous. Yeah. So I think I've covered everything, really. Stones as well, hearthstones. I haven't really got a hearthstone. I use a cauldron to represent the hearth. But witches' altars are you know, really good when they're placed in a hearth, like a fireplace, an emptied out chimney entry point, like a fireplace. And it looks really nice, it looks really pretty when you do put it by a fireplace. I once had a fireplace, and it was amazing. But yes, so there you are. I hope this helps. My advice to you, again, go by what the spirits tell you. Let them guide you. Ask them what it is best to do when setting up an altar. And with the gods that you work with, if you work with particular types of gods, you know, if you work with Hecate, ask her to help you. You know, if you work with Freya, ask her, you know, it will go on. Puck, Ask, you know, or ask the spirits in which you work with. Don't be afraid. Your ancestors as well. Definitely ask your ancestors or your fetch beast, your familiar spirit. So yes, I hope this helps. And oh yeah, that's my chicken foot on there as well. I hope this helps, and I hope I hope it's been a great help to you guys. I will speak to you later. Over and out. And have a good one. Peace. Over and out.